and I'm going to give the woman a seed. And when she produces that seed, it's going to crush the head of the serpent. So never sleep on a woman who has a casket and a curse, because she also has a seed attached to her name.
If I see one more black female,
I'm not going to do shit at my expense.
we're black women. No, folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. Hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. To respect our women and to protect our women.
Like black women, we so tough all the time. God is real and God lives
inside of all of us.
Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling? Now I know that you guys have heard about that whole naziyah situation, Naziyah Harris and Jarvis Butts. Child, it's just it's a mess, okay? It's just a mess, okay? So I'm gonna break it down. At this point, I know the court day and all of that has occurred, and I know that, you know, he was found guilty of unaliving this young girl, and he did, you know, get exposed, and text messages have been shown, and then the whole family situation and the dynamics and all of that. And I just really want to talk about it and give you guys my opinion on it. I just want to read or like give you guys, just from the news stories that's coming out, right, off some information, so you guys get the background story, so we can have a real conversation about all of this. Okay, so here's what they saying. A man will soon head to trial in the murder case of 13-year-old Naziyah Harris, a Detroit girl who went missing in January 2024. A preliminary examination was held on January 6, 2025, to determine if there's enough evidence for Jarvis Butts to stand trial in the suspected murder of Naziyah, even though she has never been found. So she still at this point has not been found. Here's the background, right? On January 9th, 2024, 13-year-old Naziyah Harris got off the school bus in the area of Cornwall Street, 3 miles. It was a 3 mile, I guess that's what they're calling it, 3 mile, which is near the intersection of Warren Avenue and Outer Drive on Detroit side, east side. She was never ever seen again at that point. Naziyah's grandmother said that she started getting concerned when she learned she didn't get home that night, but she waited until the morning of January 10th to report her missing to authorities. So on the same day Naziyah went missing, Jarvis Butts was scheduled to turn himself into authorities on a gun charge. However, this was pushed back to February. Now, the court hearing lasted days, and the judge determined that there was enough evidence for, you know, Jarvis to be able to stand trial. Now, I really want to get into what we know so far, right? Because I feel as though that's very important. So before getting into details of what happened in the court, here's what we know about why, you know, Jarvis Butts was charged. Now, prosecutors have said that Jarvis Butts was supposed to turn himself into authorities on a gun charge on January 9th, 2024, the day Naziyah went missing, but the date was pushed back. Right, so it was pushed back to February. Now, Harris, aka, you know, Naziyah, allegedly met up with Jarvis Butts that day, and the two reportedly went to Ypsilanti before returning back to Detroit, where Butts checked into a motel. Text records allege that Butts knew Harris was pregnant and that he began searching online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. Authorities believe Butts had been sexually abusing Harris since 2022 before killing her in January 2024. Prosecutors said that he had a history of targeting and befriending women to get close to and sexually abusing their daughters. It's not the only sexual abuse case Butts was involved with. He also had been charged for reportedly sexually abusing 2 other young girls, as well as a conviction for sexual assault in 2005, not 2005. Prosecutors called Butts a serial child rapist who sexually assaulted a 8-year-old family member and a girlfriend 4-year-old daughter who reportedly caught chlamydia from the assault. He was charged on September 27, 2024 as a habitual fourth-time offender. Now, Jarvis and Naziyah had reportedly known each other because he was the father of her cousins. The abuse of Naziyah allegedly began in 2022 with sexually explicit text messages and photos being sent to the child. He was tracked to the Rouge River in Detroit the day after her disappearance, where police would later recover the clothes Harris was last seen wearing. Authorities said that there was damage to the clothing that could indicate a struggle. A preliminary examination was held on January 6, 2025, for a judge to decide if there was enough evidence for Butts, aka Jarvis, to head to trial. Within those 4 to 5 days of hearing testimonies, load of evidence were revealed in the court that wasn't shown before. Disgusting text messages was revealed in court. Sergeant Sharon Jones, the officer in charge of the investigation of Naziyah disappearance, and read countless text messages exchanged between Jarvis and Naziyah from 2022 and the day she disappeared. For context, Harris was 11 to 12 years old in 2022. Most of the text messages were sexually explicit, discussing times where the two would meet for Butts to sexually assault her, as well as the 42-year-old man allegedly asking Harris for naked photos to perform sexual acts on him. The text messages also revealed Naziyah told Jarvis she missed her period and talked about her pregnancy. Butts allegedly acknowledged her missing her period by telling her to get a pregnancy test. After Jarvis learned of Naziyah's pregnancy, he allegedly searched online for abortions from December 8th through December 11, 2023. He allegedly searched for information about abortion pills on Planned Parenthood website numerous times, as well as searching for over-the-counter abortion medications. He also looked at websites about herbal tea advising as an abortion method. Now let's talk about the evidence or just things that was left behind near where she disappeared. An inside-out pink jumpsuit was discovered. A black jacket and a red and black shoe were found near the intersection of 7 Mile and Berg by a U.S. Border Patrol officer who testified a team were searching the river near the intersection in relation to Naziyah's disappearance. He testifies that the clothing he found had not been there for a long period of time, as there was no discoloration in the clothing and no evidence of animals getting into it. He described the clothing looked fresh. And as far as Naziyah's school ID, a woman said on March 7, 2024, that she found Naziyah's school ID on the sidewalk near her home on 7 Mile and Evergreen. She testifies during the preliminary hearing on January 7th, 2025, that she stepped over the ID for 2.5 weeks from a nearby bus stop before deciding to pick it up. When she picked up the ID that was face down, she recognized the girl's name because she had heard about her disappearance on the news. She took the bus to a local gas station to put the ID on a lid to prevent any more fingerprints, and called the police. This was stated in the courtroom. We may never know what happened, but from what I heard today and over the last 4 and 5 days, It appears that he intended to perform what he thought it was a do-it-yourself abortion on naziyah, and went south. And instead of seeking medical attention for her, he intentionally killed her and tried his best to cover it up. And that was said by Sabri in the courtroom.
There's a lot we don't know about the human remains that were found in the backyard of this home in northwest Detroit. This is an area we're talking about. Take a look. Construction workers made the discovery at a home on Woodingham. It's not far from the intersection of Livernois and 8 Mile. Let's go out to Pamela Osborne right now. Pam, you spent the day in that neighborhood today. It's been very quiet today.
It has, Ty, and a day later, people are still coming to terms with what happened here. I actually spoke to one of the construction workers who made that discovery over the phone earlier today, and he is still trying to process what he saw here.
It's as if nothing happened here at all. But if you look close, you'll see the signs that this was the scene of an unthinkable tragedy.
It hurts because knowing that it could be a kid.
Nadia Morris looked on Monday as investigators with DPD and the FBI slowly worked to dig up human remains from a shallow grave found in back of a vacant home on St. Martin's and Woodingham on Detroit's west side. Drone 4 shows us the narrow area between a fence and detached garage where those remains were found by construction workers. Detroit police declined to comment Tuesday, but Local 4 crime and safety expert Darnell Blackburn shared his thoughts on the tough job ahead.
In general, it's always a tough thing to do. But when you're starting with potentially an infant or a child, identifying that of a child, it becomes a lot more difficult.
Morris says it's been some time since anyone had lived there.
From seeing them, they seem like a happy family, other than, common arguments that couples have.
But it's not clear if that family is at all connected to the remains or how long they've been there. DPD said Monday they've enlisted the help of the FBI and are working in tandem with the Missing and Exploited Children's Task Force.
Let's start with the beginning of knocking on doors and contacting neighbors and trying to figure out, if there's a connection.
I do want to clarify something. That family that neighbor is referring to lived here a year ago, but what we're hearing from residents is that someone else had lived in this home more recently. In fact, one neighbor who did not want to go on camera said that a mother lived there with her child and that sometime back in November, she loaded up her car and that was the last time he saw her. Certainly, one of the many things that police are looking at right now as they work with the home's owner, likely to identify who rented that property.
So when they were in the courtroom, the judge had this to say. Judge calls out family community for failing naziyah. So she says before the ruling, the judge was named Sabri. She said she wanted to speak on behalf of naziyah on the community that failed her. She said, and the judge name is Sabri, said based on, and I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but based on what she heard in the last few days, several people failed her. She continues, she says she began listing family members and school officials, accusing them of failing naziyah. She says, I don't know where her mom is. She said, I don't know anything other than she was forced to live in a home where she was not protected or given adequate attention and love. She continues, she says, I don't know who her father is. I don't have any mention of him in her life, no presence. All the men who saw Jarvis hanging out and always around these young girls, including naziyah and his 9-year-old daughter, going up to the shop to clean up, the school counselor who never showed up, or the person who was supposed to show up. If the counselor was absent after naziyah was on the floor on the day she went missing, saying she needed to speak to someone and speak to the counselor, she pointed out there was no mention of CPS and wondered about their involvement with them. She called naziyah's grandmother testimony questionable. She continues, she says she understood her grandmother's testimony was used to establish where naziyah lived and her regular routine, and she understood she was not a runaway child. However, Sabri found it hard to believe that Jarvis Butts never went to the home as the grandmother testified, always sending those girls to the shop raises questions. She added, the judge, regarding the grandmother's testimony. Like, basically saying you're always sending your granddaughters, but you've never ever had this man in your home. She just didn't believe that. Jarvis co-owned a auto shop in Detroit where Naziyah was reportedly frequently seen. How were there two women in that house who had birthed children themselves who did not notice Naziyah was pregnant? And I believe she was, and not having her period anymore, said the judge. She continues, she says, what stood out the most was when the grandmother learned at around 6 p.m. on January 9th, 2024, that Naziyah did not come home from school. She looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police. She appeared to not show any emotion. She said, I don't know who else failed Naziyah, but the community did, said the judge. She agreed with prosecutors that a body is not needed to establish first-degree premeditated murder.
She doing what she can do. She spoke to the police. She spoke to the detectives. She told them what and how and when. Naziyah didn't bring her ass home. She got up like any other grandparent would do, or any mother or any father, any brother or sister. She got the fuck up. She got dressed. She went to the school. She reported it. The school called the police. They met her at the school. My mom didn't wait no 24 hours to report Naziyah missing. She reported Naziyah missing on the fucking 9th. The detectives and stuff followed up on the 10th. They came to the house.
Grandmother, that's your mother, right? So you wanted.
Yes, that's my mother. Yes, that is exactly my mother.
Yeah, because as it was relayed to me by a member of the family, is that when she was younger, right, she had CPS investigations of her own, and that's the
there was
reason,
never no CPS. None of us ever been in the system, bruh. This is what I'm telling you. No, none of us, out of 7 of us, we never been removed. Nobody has ever been removed from that household.
So why do you think the narrative is what it is as far as the immediate family, the extended family, and even the neighbors, who all share pieces of the same puzzle as far as the story, painting the picture of the narrative that we share, that we all see with this story. Like, what how could how is the whole world wrong? I guess is what I want to say about this situation. If you fending for your mother,
I'm not gonna even say that the whole world is wrong, because everybody is entitled to their fucking opinion at the end of the day. But like I say, everything that I've been sitting here and listening since 9:30 is fucking speculation to me.
It's speculation to you. Now, and the thing about it is, like,
it's speculation to me, as because who says that Jarvis touched her?
The speculation.
Nobody knows if Jarvis actually touched Naziyah.
Right. I'm about to say you don't know for sure or not, right? And
nobody knows for sure. But since I've been listening to this live since 9:30, it seems like everybody know they fucking facts, and then nobody has got no proof about if this girl been touched or if Jarvis is the cause and the reason of why this girl is missing. Whatever he did back in the day, or however he catch this rape case, or however the scenario plays out about his personal life, I'm sure he did time. I'm sure the girl, the young lady who came forward, her daughter came forward a year ago and said that, yes, my mother lied about her age. My dad did his time. My mother was 15 when her and Jarvis met. He did his time. I don't feel like why motherfuckers should have to go and dig up old ass shit on motherfuckers. Is he out here raping and molesting children now? I can't answer that.
That's what's in question. Shit. I mean, and if he got
that's the question. The question is, what I feel like this is, At this point in time, Naziyah is missing. That's all we really should be focusing on is trying to find my niece so we can bring her ass back home.
Right. But I guess within trying
And
to
then
find her,
everything else we can deal with after that.
All this mess is just messy and just absolutely crazy, okay? I want to play something for you guys. I want to play what the dad had to say. Okay, so the dad did an interview. And the dad basically spoke on the situation and he gave his opinion. And early on within the conversation, they asked the dad, like, basically, where have you been? And he was like, how he signed away his rights to the grandmother because he didn't want to hurt his wife, I guess. What I'm taking from the situation is he cheated on his wife and got somebody pregnant. I don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes. Was the mama young when you got her pregnant? Is that what you ashamed of? You know what I'm saying? It's not so much clear as far as what the father, like, what's the real issue. But the father said he was married and he cheated on his wife, I guess. And he didn't want his wife to find out. At least what I'm gaining from the situation, didn't want his wife to find out that he had been cheating. And so he signed away his rights to the grandmother without like involving his wife and asking his wife. And I guess now it's further down the line and the whole situation where the little girl has not returned back home and all of that is going on. So the wife is telling him that, she's open hearted, she would have been welcoming and allowing the girl to come. And I'm saying it's easy to say that now that the girl's like on the run. I mean, not necessarily on the run, but the entire situation, the girl's gone. Excuse me for saying on the run. That was a wrong term, but I'm just trying to, explain. The girl's gone and nobody can't find her. The entire world is heartbroken about this entire situation. There's a lot of media coverage. So, of course, the wife is going to do the Christian thing and say, hey, if you would have told me a long time ago after cheating on me that, you had a side baby, I would accept the side baby because I love you so much. It's real easy to say that now that the little girl is, all involved with all of this. I think that him saying, oh, my wife is a wonderful person. If your wife was such a wonderful person and you knew that your wife was this wonderful person, why would you make a decision like that without involving her? Why would you be in any fear if you know that your wife is such a welcoming person and a wonderful person? It's not about her being a wonderful person. Because if she didn't accept this girl, it wouldn't be her being a horrible person. You cheated on her. It's a side baby. So it would make sense as to why she wouldn't, accept the child. It would make sense to any woman why she wouldn't accept the child. I really think there's extra stuff going on. But he signed away his rights to the grandmother. So now all of a sudden he has so much to say. Oh, the grandmother's not being 100% honest. The grandmother has not been 100% honest. We don't trust the entire family. However, if you did your job as a father and stepped up instead of signing your rights away, then honestly, you can have an opinion. But the fact that you walked out and you were one of the people that abandoned this child and that you didn't, you know what I'm saying? This is what you're hearing now. Over the years, you haven't been consistent. And after you signed away your rights, even if you knew something was going on, all you could do is call the police. You have no rights over the situation. The grandmother didn't really owe you an explanation. And if she chose to not to communicate with you, she didn't have to because you signed away your rights. You know what I'm saying? Don't act like you care all of a sudden. Oh, I care so much. That's my child. She's saying one thing and then she was saying something else. And if you had your child and you raised your child, wouldn't nobody have to tell you nothing about your child? The entire situation is a mess. But he has all this criticism for the grandmother, but you wasn't doing your job. The grandmother's trash as well. But I feel as though he should reserve his comments, don't have nothing to say, because if he would have did his job far earlier, his daughter would have never, ever met Jarvis or you know the man name. It's annoying. She would have never met the booty dude. But because he didn't do his job, she met the booty dude, and that's why we all talking about this. But you have all this criticism for the grandmother as though you did, almost as to say that you did what you're supposed to do or you were a wonderful father and this is just circumstance. No, it's not. You made a decision to sign away your rights. And after that, you were living your life. If you got a heart issue or all these things happen later down the line, I'm sorry that occurred, but you gave up on that child. further, like way before you started having a heart issue. I have no sympathy about your heart issues. I feel bad that it's happening, just the fact that it's a health issue for anybody, but not you in particular, because at this point, we wouldn't care. We wouldn't know had it not been for this unfortunate situation. You're acting like, oh, my wife is a good person. I'm a good person. No, we don't trust you. You should have took care of that little girl. Now everybody in the entire situation is questionable, including this damn daddy. I'm sorry. I'm hearing one thing about him passing because he had heart issues. Another thing, now he's speaking up and saying all these different things, trying to throw dirt on a grandmother's name, saying she's being suspicious and she's not being 100% honest. No, nobody's being 100% honest. Everybody's covering their ass and, protecting their interests. Same way you did. But he had all this commentary. No, speak about your abandonment of your daughter. Speak more about that. Tell us what happened with that, because that's the piece that you're involved in. But, I was talking to the grandmother. The grandmother's not communicating with me, but you signed away your rights. Like, that's how I feel. Far before it even got to this point, you had all that it took to stop this from getting to this point, but you signed away your rights. So stop acting like you're this wonderful person and your wife is this wonderful person and you guys care so much now that we're here. Because we're here now and there's nothing that can be done. We're hoping that this girl is still alive somewhere, but we don't know. Let me play this video of what the dad had to say, guys.
Kind of talk face to face with you digitally, man, and had this conversation with you. But just first off, man, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm just, I'm frustrated, hurt, confused, just everything. And just trying to stay alive. That's about it. Trying to stay alive.
Dig it. Now, when you spoke to me last night, you said that you had no idea about what was going on in regards to the situation. So what did you know or what didn't you know as far as what's going on?
So I was, and I got a really, really bad heart. Operates at 5%. So I was in a hospital when the police contacted me. And so it took me by surprise. So they asked if they could give the grandmother the number. I'm like, yeah, because, we had lost contact. So they gave her the number. So I continued talking to the police. Everything, like she said, everything that this woman has said, it's been in a common way. She's a straight A student. She sent me pictures of, young pictures, to where in my mind, I'm like, okay, my baby's still okay, So with Naziyah and Naziyah mom, just briefly, okay, we had made an agreement when she was born that the grandmother would take care of her. Now, the grandmother needed full rights to be able to provide full care. So we both signed over our rights to the grandmother. I put myself on child support. Now, once you did that, I put myself on child support. I would still go over their birthdays, taking clothes, everything. When I had this procedure done to my heart, I didn't have a phone for a while because I was in the hospital. They put a defibrillator pacemaker in. I had to go to rehab to work, so I lost contact. When I got out of there, they had moved, so I couldn't get in contact with them. Now, forward 3 or 4, maybe 5 years later to now, however much time that was, now my daughter's missing, and that's when the police came down. Okay. So that's briefly.
Okay. Now, I want to say, without, I don't mean no disrespect by it, but without getting into too much your business, your personal business, I guess as deep as you want to go, why was it that you felt like you needed to give your rights up to her as opposed to raising her yourself if you knew that the mother was in whatever condition that she was in where she couldn't take care of her? Why didn't you take her?
All right. So, I made a decision. for one, without my wife knowing. See, I'm married, so I made a decision without my wife knowing, and and her name is Chantel. Tail knew my position what I was in because we had worked together, and we had told the grandmother, the situation. So, and I know people are gonna go ham or whatever, but I tried to be as responsible as my mind at that time could take. And I didn't run. I ain't. Everybody want to say something. Go get them other guys that ain't taking care of this and ain't taking care of that. I took care of it. So it was only because at that time, in my mind, I was trying to protect my wife's feelings.
Bro.
Yeah.
Decision without your wife knowing. The decision was to give up custody of your daughter, or was it? What was the decision?
To sign the rights over so the grandmother can do full, so she'll be able to provide anything that she needed as far as funding, stake, whatever she might need.
So you made that decision without your wife. So do you feel like had you told your wife the situation, she would have what? Maybe convinced you to take her, or convinced you to do what you did?
You know what? Now, when all this happened just now, I even apologized to my wife because I took away my wife's ability to, have her own feelings for the situation, and I knew that, and I had to have that conversation again with my wife. Now, had I not done what I done, I know for sure this situation wouldn't have happened, and it's tearing me apart because she would have had the two homes to go to and come to, and a lot of stuff. But my background growing up, it wasn't. I mean, I think it's still. You got to understand, everybody don't make right decisions. Everybody just hear the story. Oh, he should have done this. I'm pretty sure you should have done some things too. Now, I'm just being upfront and truthful about what happened at that time. That's all I'm doing.
Right.
And I if somebody want to ask, fine, but I still don't want to get away from me putting the information out here that I do know.
Okay, right.
For the main reason we're here.
Yeah, most definitely.
But I do think people deserve a background like, where's this guy been, or what's
and that's what that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people it seem to be forming an opinion, not knowing whatever the situation may be. So I was just trying to give you a platform to speak your piece and say what you had to say as far as how you felt about the situation, and as well as about what as far as going on, as far as I guess the conditions of the family that she was living in, and all of that. So I mean, what beyond what I just asked you would you like people to know about the situation, whether it be like I said, about the family or you, or what do you want the people to know?
And that's basically and that's what it was. That's what it is.
Okay, one more thing that was on my mind to ask you before you get into your comments about the grandmother or whatnot. Like, so since you cheated on your wife and had Nevaeh, and you kept that secret from her to protect her, once you find out, she didn't say bring the baby home. Like, what was that? That was never a conversation as far as after she found out.
Yep, it was always a conversation. It was always a conversation. That was one of the main reasons I was taking bikes, clothes, whatever that baby wanted over there. And that's,
that's the reason why you was taking things over there, because y'all was having conversations about bringing her.
We would try, so to get, to still be in the baby's life.
Okay, so to be involved.
When you make a decision, you just can't just automatically change it. Like, no,
right.
Yeah. You just don't do that. So you show you could be there, and you show you could be responsible. And that's what I was doing. I was showing I could be responsible. I kept up my child support payments. To this day, they're still going. And and so and that's what it is. My wife is a very supportive person, you know, and it's nothing that she. It was nothing on her. And none of this is on my wife at all. She's a beautiful, supporting person, and that's what it is about her, you know.
Dig it. Okay, so, I guess with that being said, you can go forward with, whatever the details is that you want to share about the family or the grandmother, the situation, or, your whole view of this situation right now.
Okay. So it's like when I was in the hospital and she was cueing me in on everything, she was telling me like the baby never ran away. This has never happened before, and she was seen running with some kids. So, we're going to find her and we're going to bring her home. And, now my family's asking like, well, are they going to do a police conference? And I'm like, well, Mama said they were going to do a police conference. They're trying to schedule. It's going to be on this day. Now, mind you, this is like around the 9th or whatever. I believe it was the 9th when we was having these conversations. And I'm like, okay, so it was just kept on like, we were going to do this. We're going to do this. She even said Chantel came down from Ohio to help pass out flyers. And when she had gotten there, I said, we were talking. I said, well, how's Tail doing? She said she's not doing too good about it. And I said, oh, okay. And I left it at that, because, I know what type of state Telly be in. So I left it at that. But she was helping look for, as far as I know, they was passing out flyers, looking. So as time goes, it's just a whole bunch of, like, I would call her, call Mama, and I didn't want to bother her, but she was always be like, I'm tired, and yeah, baby, and she's always like she seemed like the perfect grandmother. Well, now I used to go over there, everything the house was immaculate, She was always working, trying to do something. The baby was happy, cooking. Things like that. It was never and she's a God-fearing woman, so it was always like a good vibe. So I respected her with a good vibe. You know what I'm saying? So if she told me something, I really believed it. I would have never thought it would be so much shady stuff coming from her direction. And then they got twins. She has twins. They used to live with her. And so now, I guess one of them don't, one of them do. I don't know. I just know that's the part of the family that I know.
So basically, you're saying all of that to say that the picture was painted perfectly in your eyes, and it looked like nothing was going wrong, or nothing was ever wrong in the situation.
Ever wrong.
And when
right.
This particular situation came about, they're telling you that this is something that never happened, and they weren't worried about it as if they was expecting her to come back home anytime soon.
Right. No, correct. Now I want to say this. Now at this time they were dealing with DPS, that's the Detroit school system police, right? So she had even explained that to me. So eventually when I got out, I didn't want to keep talking to her, but I wanted more information, so I got out of the hospital. I wasn't even supposed to be walking. I'm on a medicine that keeps my heart pumping. I wasn't even supposed to be walking. I got nurses calling me because they was concerned because of police. And I'm out there, me, my wife passing out flyers, my sister, my son, my nephew, we out here passing out flyers. And I would stop over at Mom's house and try to get, direction of where I should go, what's going on. And she would just come out. She said, oh, yeah, we were out passing them out earlier. and this and that. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this. We out there day and night. But every time we went, they were in the house. And then the twins, like, I know them. They never came out the house. So I'm like, what's going on over here? So one day I went over there, or I was having a conversation with the grandmother. She said, I don't know why everybody want to ask where, like, Chantel got an older son. I think he's around 70, 18 now. They want to talk to him. I don't know why the police want to talk to him. He ain't got nothing to do nothing with it. You see what I'm saying? It's just her attitudes started changing.
If it had Nevaeh saying that, right, basically you're saying all of that to say that, you know, you notice red flags about certain situations and you probe them and ask them about it and they act suspiciously, I guess to say, for lack of a better way of
Correct.
explaining it.
Right. Now, when we was trying, I said, Mama, and after a while, I'm like, Mama, we done put these flyers up. All the kids that we talking to, they're saying they know her, but they ain't seen her in 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm like, well, that's about when the thing happened. It ain't nobody seeing her, but Mama telling me they seeing her running up and down the street. You know, and I'm trying to keep calm. Now, after we go through, and I'm going to jump right back, you know, DPS and the Detroit Police Department, they do have a certain procedure and protocol on how they do things. If it's a runaway, I think they treat the situation different than a missing person. I don't know. Now that all this came out, I think she was reported as a runaway. You know, and I think that was set up like that. I really do. I really do think it was set up like a runaway for time purposes. And I'm simply saying that because I asked Grandma, I said, now, look, Ma, you know, I just want to ask a few more questions. Let me tell you this. Now, we was talking, and she had told me the summertime, you know, oh, yeah, she's a straight-A student. She even went to the summer school classes and everything. So they had said that I pulled up, well, a guy was at the school in a pickup truck. And Naziyah had went out there to the pickup truck. And the principal had supposedly went out there and said, who were you talking to who was that? Naziyah turned around and said, this is my dad. So the lady was like, yo, dad. So when she started walking towards her, they said the guy pulled off. So Naziyah came back in. So I said, well, Ma, you know, I didn't know where y'all lived at. She was like, yeah, because we moved. I said, well, ain't nobody called me. She was like, well, we tried to call. The number didn't go through. I said, Mama, I was in the hospital so long, I don't even know where that phone was. I said, you know, so, and if anything, what happened, I would call you. She was like, I know, you're very respectful. So I'm not thinking of the conversation. So we still talking. I said, well, what did she say? She said she asked her, who was that? She said, she looked at her and said, that's my daddy, Nana. And she was like, that is not your dad. And this, that. So I think she said she started crying or whatever. And she said, we'll deal with this later. So I'm like, okay. So now going back real quick. Now, mind, I told you when we got out, we was passing out flyers. I would go over there and ask her, what area should I go in? She was like, well, go down there to Chatsworth, on Chatsworth. So I guess the back of the school sits on Chatsworth. I said, well, Ma, why would I go down there on Chatsworth? She was like, because that's when Naziyah walked through the field and met with that guy at the truck. I said, so she walked through the back of the school, Ma, and walked through the field? You know, I'm trying to figure out.
So you say all of that to say that they knew that she was possibly dealing with somebody out of her age range and was not doing nothing about it?
Now, I'm about to tell you some more stuff. I just wanted to give you that scenario. Now, Naziyah is smart, okay? If that was the case, I believe she was covering up for somebody. He didn't want them to get exposed. Now, as I listen to your podcast,
that's over age.
That she knows. Yep, that she knows. And they not her age. Now that I listen to your story, and it's like this guy who's one of the twins boyfriends. You see what I'm saying? And this guy's supposed to have all this sexual misconduct junk and all this nasty stuff. Okay,
You talking about
red
the
flag.
Jarvis dude?
Yeah, I believe that's him. I believe it's him. Because I don't know none of this. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say it's this guy, but I believe it's him. I just heard about this yesterday. So now before all this, me and mom was having a conversation. I said, well, Mom, well, how did you manage? She said, well, I think Shan, one of the twins, her man would pick up the kids from school sometimes, take them up to his shop, and they would clean up and work up there, and she would go pick them up. Maybe this is the guy she was protecting. This before I even know this guy was a pedophile. So, I'm like, okay, Ma, we need to look into that. She was like, no, because he ain't with her no more, or whatever that she might have said. So I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, but now I listen to your podcast and I'm putting two to two together. So your podcast, I listened to that last night, right?
Right.
That night I texted the grandmother. I said, oh my God, I can't believe you. I said, twin, like this shit really hurt. I said, y'all sick over there. I said, 7 kids, like 5 with this guy, 7. You know what I'm saying? But I asked Mama before I sent them texts, who is Jarvis? This woman sat up there and act like she ain't know who he was, and then was like, that's him, boyfriend. I said, well, is that the one that got in custody? She was like, look, her voice got real uppity then. She was like, look, I'm not saying nothing. The police say people gonna say things. When you get out here, they're gonna, and don't believe them until they come back and tell you what's what. But I've been asking you the truth about these situations, and you haven't been truthful not once. You know what I'm saying? Now she go back and tell the police, my daughter has been running away. But you tell me she has never done it before. I mean, it's so many things that's not added up.
I mean, and that's the thing that I'm hearing from a lot of people as far as, and I'm not here to throw nobody under the bus. I'm just discussing the things that I've heard and the things that that I see. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are saying that the story from the story from the person that it's coming from is switching up, like, you know, left and right, up and down. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And so when I'm given the information that I'm heard, it may, I mean, that I'm being told, it may sound like my shit is up, down, left, and right. You know what I mean? But
right. But I mean, coming from the grandmother, man, this should be on point. Period.
and
Grandmother.
I'm gonna say this. You know, I actually obtained a contact number for the grandmother, and I called her not long ago, less than 2 hours ago, and I reached out to her, you know, respectfully, and said, I'm Mark D from Selmar Radio. I'm a citizen journalist. I have a independent media outlet, and I've been kind of covering the story over the last couple of days, and I wanted to reach out to you to see if you wanted to have a conversation and share your piece on what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm unbiased. I'm not the police. I'm not, I'm a citizen journalist. I'm not even the mainstream terrestrial news corporate outlet. You know what I mean? So I was just giving her a platform to, to speak. And, to me personally, she sounded a little, I don't know if it was worried, disgruntled, or whatnot, but she declined my offer to speak and got off the phone real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. She ain't trying. She ain't trying to deal with none of this, man. I'm telling you. That's why I didn't even want to ask her questions, because her demeanor was off. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to respect her. She has always been, when you say grandmother, I'm talking like a respectable person. I don't even know what all this stuff, all the adoptions and all this stuff. It didn't even seem like that was in that category. It's like she's been adopted.
From what I hear, the grandmother, and I don't know how true it is, right? But two other people is telling me they don't know how she ended up with not only your kids but the other 7 kids is under the age of 10 that's in the house right now because she, in fact, lost her kids to CPS when they were younger. Her 5 kids, they all ran away or something like that. But that's just a story that I'm told. So,
Right, right, right. Oh my God.
but yeah, man, like I said, man, I really just wanted to, like I said, hear, how you felt, you know what I'm saying, see, how you was doing and give you a platform to speak and ask you a couple of questions because the main concern, from even me, what I mean, was like, where's her dad at? Like, where's he at all of this time? Just wanted to, give you an opportunity to speak and tell everybody what it is that you was going through in regards to all of this.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man, because when I speak to when I do talk to police, you only get you listen and you got to let them do their job. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the Detroit Police Department. I do appreciate DPS because when Detroit stepped in, bro, all this stuff started moving like clockwork. Oh, boom, 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 boom.
You said
You
what
know what
now?
I'm saying? When Detroit Police got the case,
Oh.
everything started moving like clockwork. I want to get like Tamara, to that police commissioner. She has been overly outstanding. Eric from the 300, my sister Kelly saying she has been networking, doing things, and I appreciate it. I mean, I'm talking about Eric called me for the 300, called me at night. We got to talking. He said, "Hold on." We talking to the deputy chiefs trying to get answers through. I didn't even know they worked that night like that, So, and I really do appreciate it. And I really do think if it wasn't misled, I think a lot of stuff could have been done a lot faster. I really do think the whole situation was misled, like she was a runaway, and to cover up some real sick stuff that was already going on over in that house.
Yeah, that's kind of up the lane that somebody else said. You know what I mean? As far as same thing that they said, man. So
Now, this entire situation is just out of this world. There's a lady that claims to be Shannon's niece, which is Jarvis' baby mama. And remember, Jarvis' baby mama, Shannon, is Naziyah's aunt. So this woman is the aunt of Shannon. So I'm assuming, I don't know if that's the grandmother's daughter or somebody else's daughter, but or it's Shannon child. It's a whole little mixture. You know what I'm saying? It's confusion, confusion. But she's saying that she's the auntie of Shannon, right? Which would also kind of make her the auntie of Naziyah. Was she saying, like, revealing all the family secrets, saying everybody knew what was going on? I'm gonna play that recording or those recordings for you right now.
She has 7 children, and from what I understand, I have people I know who work in foster care and things like that. They ask you about your children. They want to interview your children, see how your children are, how they turned out, where they life with, what type of upbringing they had. Well, unfortunately, out of her 7 children, the first one ran away at a very young age. The second one, he stayed home to 18 and went to school. Then Zaya's mother, she has had some difficulties in life and ran away at 13. Then the next child ran away at 16. Then the next child left at 17 or 18. And they just all have been going through some triumphs in their life that we feel they would have never had to go through if they had better parenting. This is one reason why my father, like my father and my grandmother tried to help Annette when she was young. And she wasn't receptive to the help that she received. My grandmother and father got her 11 years old. She was pregnant. My grandmother helped her get a HUD home, pay for attorneys to help her get her baby because he ended up becoming a ward of the state because she was so young. And Annette just continued to be promiscuous and things like that. But she was a victim of a lot of trauma herself.
Yeah.
So her children, they have some issues too. Everybody got their problems, but it's to the extreme. I initially found out that Jarvis was a sex offender. It's almost 12 years ago.
Wow.
And I asked Shannon about it. She didn't tell me. I stumbled over it because of a situation where he had got arrested and had her daughter in his custody at that time. He had the child, and we had to go get the baby because he got arrested. So I was looking him up to see what he got arrested for. Then it popped up his oldest information saying that he was a sex offender and had sexually assaulted a child under the age of 13. And I looked at Shannon and I was like, Shannon, he's a sex offender. Yeah, he said the girl lied. I'm like, it says the girl was 13, and then I did the math on his age. I said he was 24. So it ain't no lie there. Yeah, but he did his time. And I'm like, nah, nope. I was like, you need to leave him alone. Over the course of the years, I would tell her, you need to leave him alone. He was not good to her. He did not treat her well. He did not teach the children well at all. He fathered them. He created them, but he was not a father figure that I would have tried to hang on to for the kids. But anyways, I looked on the sex offender registry and saw that he was not on there. So I called, and that's when they went after him. And eventually, maybe about 6 months later, he had to report. They registered him, and he ended up on the sex offender registry.
So he was supposed to be on the registry the whole time.
The whole time, and this was like 12 years ago. But get this, his last report is 2019. He hasn't reported for the sex offender registry since 2019. So he probably wasn't reporting it very often in between those times either.
Yeah.
So you said he fathered some children. So you're saying that in the time frame that he was with your stepsister?
No, he was with my niece Shannon.
Your niece Shannon, that he actually fathered some children in the home or outside the home?
He has 5 children with Shannon. It was almost 6.
Oh, okay. And okay.
Yeah.
There's a question though that popped up as well in the comment section about him having 13 children.
He has more than 13.
I've listened to other podcasts covering the story, and I heard the number 20.
He has more than 20 children.
He has more than 20 children.
He has adult children that are almost the age of Shannon.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
What is she in her early 30s, right?
Shannon's 31, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think his oldest daughter is around the age of 26, 27. He's my age. He's 42.
Yeah. Because even the judge said it in her ruling that he had 13 children. And I think it came from that interrogation he did with the detectives. And I guess maybe he only claims 13 of them.
That's his lucky number. He says that all the time.
Oh, yeah. I thought I remembered hearing the number 20. But as far as that is concerned, he has other children with underage girls.
From what I understand,
he has, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, his older children were all with girls in their teens, and he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And then along the time when Shannon was dating him, they was going back and forth with each other. There was a young lady who was like 18 who said that her child was his. I don't know whatever came along with that, but yeah, it's possibly she's one of the young ladies that's listed on the front of the court registry.
So do you think, Deborah, please don't let me get ahead of myself, but I have to ask this question. Did Naziyah, did she ever show or talk or say anything to anybody? I mean, any hints, any I mean,
Yes, she
the
did.
world wants to know. I mean, this is
Yes,
a
she did.
young 13-year-old child, and from my understanding, this took place a year ago. A year
She
ago
told. She
today,
told.
correct?
No,
She
she
did
told.
tell.
And I think if we're all going to keep it real and we're going to be honest, everybody knew. Okay, everybody knew, and these women did not care. The twins did not care. Shannon and her sister did not care. That grandma did not care. Nobody cared. Okay, because a lot of these women have had insecurities. They have low self-esteem, and because they have low self-esteem, they move that way. You know, they all knew what was up and did not care and was like, try to say, oh, if the court system can forgive him, how come I can't? It sound good, but when you got kids, you just can't. You can't take risks with your children. That's why. If the court system ain't true. That you ain't never hear nobody say, oh, go talk to the Lord, don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, it's above me. You know what I'm saying? He ain't through with me yet. Is that? But no, you sacrificed your children, well, your granddaughter, the grandma, you sacrificed your niece, you sacrificed everything for a man. You know what I'm saying? If we're just going to all keep it 1,000 and just speak on that aspect of it. And honestly, everybody knew, everybody's trash in my humble opinion. And, you know, everybody failed this young girl. That's just my opinion. I'm going to play this last clip. And then after that, you know, y'all can definitely let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know if you guys think that I'm right as far as everything that I'm saying. I love you guys to pieces. Let me know, okay? I love y'all. Bye.
About him being on the sex offenders list, or any kind of activity about that? Like, had you even heard of anything like that before out of him?
When I met him, when I was 19, he did tell me his background. He did tell me his background. Out of doubt. He gave me the decision if I wanted to pursue a relationship.
So, given that his background was sex offender involving a child, right? And you still made the decision to talk to him?
One, I was 19, and two, if society can give you a second chance, why can't someone else give you a second chance as well?
I can dig it. Now somebody told me that he had got married recently. Do you know something about that? He got, I don't know if it was last year or something. He was supposed to bought a chick a ring or got married or something. Because then you said you had a 1-year-old by him, or that's your youngest baby is by him, right?
All my children is by him.
So did he get? Because I'm just getting what I'm told, right? Did he get married recently, or sometime recently?
Pardon?
I said, did he get married like recently, sometime like within the last couple of years or something, or before your last baby was born?
Jarvis is not married.
Oh, okay. I was just, like I said, because there's so much mess, like I said, going back and forth. I'm hearing that, like, I don't know, he was with you and cheated on you, got married and had another baby by somebody else, and then got you pregnant again. So I'm just trying to clarify to see exactly what type of person he is, or what type of person we talking about right here. What did you say?
And all these questions is irrelevant besides us trying to find my niece.
Naziyah Harris unfortunately ended up with these 3 big bad wolves. Now, Shannon to the right also has a twin, and the mother is looking like the triplet. Now, I think it starts with the parenting of the grandmother who had Shannon and her twin, along with her other siblings. But one thing that I wanted to let y'all know, and this was coming from Naziyah's older cousins who were saying that Shannon and allegedly her sister were telling Naziyah that she was unattractive, that her hair was nappy because she had a different grain of hair. Her hair was thicker and it had more coils to it in comparison to their 2 children. Now, on an attractive scale, they wouldn't even be on the scale, okay, for me, none of them. But to sit here and break her down while knowing you have a pedo in the house around her, grooming her, not only her, but other children, we'll get into Shannon's tea in a minute, You sat up here and told her she was not pretty, that she had ugly, nappy hair, black people hair, and y'all look like this. And if you see any of their children, you'll see that they have sort of looser hair texture, specifically Shannon. And the colorism in some of the black community, y'all don't care if this man is a pedo. You're like, my baby gonna have some curly hair. And Shannon and her sister also have like a finer, thinner texture. So I'm confused why they went out to seek a man who had looser curls than them. And he's a pedo too. Like, you have to choose. You have to choose. But I'm sure it was all worth it to these 3 women here. And their social medias are still public, honey. So, hello. So a lot of people have been asking, where is Naziyah Harris's biological mother and father? Well, this is Kenyatta Harris, and honey, her life was not easy as well. Growing up with a mom who had a baby at 11 years old, yes, I repeat, Annette had a baby at 11, was pregnant at 11, allegedly, according to her family. Kenyatta, aka Lady, that's her nickname, went through something similar in her childhood as her daughter did at the age of 13. Her family didn't go through any detail, of course, because that is her story to tell, but we can only assume that it was possible SA allegations and things that happened to her, especially with a mother like Annette. I'm sure she went through a lot. It seemed as though that she loved her children, but she just didn't have the mental capacity to actually take care of them. Yes, she's still alive, but according to her family, she was the first person to speak up and speak to police about her daughter, although she didn't have her daughter for many years and barely had a connection with her. However, when she went missing, she went into action, and so I can commend her for that. Now, this is her father, Mervyn Jennings, and he recently passed away, maybe a year ago, or no more than a year. But at the time, he was actually married and had a whole family with someone else. And his wife had no clue that he was talking to Naziyah's mom. So they had a baby together and they ended up losing connections and all the other stuff. Naziyah ended up living with her grandma, Annette, and he was paying child support allegedly. And that's how that situation happened. According to some of the family, you know, that wasn't their proudest moments, but he was financially there for Naziyah, allegedly, but he wasn't physically there for her. So when she went missing, he sprung into action as well. And obviously his family knows about her now. Now, what I find interesting about Kenyatta, aka Lady, is that she put her foot on her twin sister's necks and her mother. Like, I don't know what the case may be, but honestly, God bless her. It's easy to say shoulda, coulda, woulda, but if you have custody of a child and you took on that responsibility, that child is now your responsibility, and we cannot sit here and blame her 100%. It takes 2 to tango, including her and the child's father, but Annette decided to take responsibility and failed at her job multiple times, including failing Lady. There's a Justice for Naziyah Harris page, and one woman named Kenya posted something basically saying that there was a Chester molester amongst the twins, and the twins started laughing at the post. So you see, they don't even take it serious.